guests from both sides of the North American continent and each a true industry thought leader, we ask Todd and Rita to tackle the big, audacious questions coming out of this period of crisis and change. What are the ways in which travel and tourism will be changed forever from the events of 2020? So welcome, Todd. Welcome, Rita. Hi, guys.
Hi, Elena. Thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor to be here, be part of Destination International's annual conference, and to be serving on this panel with my dear friend, Rita.
I'm delighted to join Todd and all Global All-Stars. You know, we do live on opposite sides of the United States, but when it comes to destination marketing, we have so much in common. So it's a great pleasure to be here with Todd and also later joining Senna.
Thank you. Thank you. So Todd, why don't you kick it off?
Happy to, Elena. Thank you. Certainly an audacious question, as you said in your tee up. And as I really thought about what we traditionally have done as destination professionals, is we're all about driving intent, driving demand for travel to our respective destinations. And in the past, we would have thought about how our competition is another destination, or we're competing for our share of a consumer's disposable income. Are they going to buy a washer and dryer? Or are they going to take a trip? And then are they going to take a trip to our destination? And the reality is there's a new competitor out there. And that competitor is the psychological effects of COVID-19. You know, it's not only going to be about intent to travel, it's also going to be about our consumers, our potential guests' desire for what I call self-preservation. We've got to realize that COVID-19 is a longer-term battle, and it has psychological repercussions. The routines that have been developed during our shelter-in-place protocols across the country and around the world are changing how we think about travel. How are different demographic groups going to respond to these new protocols? Are we going to choose less crowded destinations? Are we going to look to have a lower impact on the environment as we do travel? Are we going to think about seasonality? We think maybe seasonality and where we travel, when we travel. Are we going to revisit the modes of travel? Less likely to travel by air, more likely to take that car vacation? And how do we come to choose the destinations and brands that are going to make up our vacation experience? Suddenly now we're going to be looking at health, sanitation, cleanliness, and safety as part of that consideration set when we're choosing brands and we're choosing destinations. And we as destination marketing professionals have to take those kinds of things into consideration in all of our future efforts.
Todd, I couldn't agree with you more. You know, as an industry, we have to remain nimble and responsive to the consumer and really keep our eye on the research and making the necessary changes to be ready. And certainly health is at the forefront of so many of those decisions and the investments that are being made. You know, around the world, there's sweeping changes and disruptions are occurring around the globe. These changes have occurred swiftly, and while they're exhilarating to some, disorienting to others, and distasteful to many, it's clear that something has happened, and it's due to 5 principal events. The fight against COVID-19, racism, the flashpoint was the death of George Floyd, social justice calls for equality, political realignment with the United States with the presidential election in November, and the financial stress of a world economy that's under so much pressure as a result of the global health crisis. Business cannot recover fully without such a looming threat. Has to be taken care of with a vaccine, because right now there is no cure in sight. So all of this is hitting us at once. It's in many ways reminiscent of 1969. Coincidentally, that was the year that Virginia's for Lovers brand was created, when there were cultural, economic, societal changes, and the US was at war. It was a year of disruption. And also in 1969, juxtaposition, it was a year of Woodstock Music Festival in New York, where 350,000 people gathered. That kind of in-person event will not happen anywhere on the globe in 2020. However, as challenging as it has been, it's also a remarkably inspiring time as well. The power of unity changes things. Tourism is an integral part of people's desires and dreams. And travel connects us. And therefore, anything that is so connecting is also unifying. And this really highlights that tourism in many ways has changed forever because symbols. You're looking at the Rumors of War sculpture. It was created in 2019 in response to Confederate monuments in Virginia. It was first unveiled in New York City at Times Square. Now it's a prime visitation site located at Virginia's premier art institution, the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts. People travel from around the world to experience, learn, and understand history. And the resulting nexus is people gathering in outdoor places to have discussions, deep discussions and conversations, and really becoming a better understanding, compassionate place where, you know, it makes a difference. It makes a difference when we're together. And we now, because of the virus, many people are seeking outdoor destinations. The environment has really been cleansing. We see animals, you know, taking over their environments they used to occupy. So much is happening. Families are closer and stronger during this time. We're homeschooling. But what hasn't left us is the joy to travel and to be with the ones we love, doing the things that we love. And, you know, pivoting from that wedding that was planned for a large gathering of friends and family is now held at a special place where two gather to create a union with their one and only love. Creativity in travel is changing how we travel. And when we travel, it really gives us an appreciation for a destination. And that's an experience that can last a lifetime. And we share this with others by word of mouth and most likely on a digital platform. That's going to become a very powerful piece of user-generated content.
You know, Rita, there's a couple of things there that really pop for me. Number one was your use of the word nimble right at the onset of this. And the other part was this innate, intrinsic desire to travel. That is not gone away. We hear it all the time. We see it in the research that the pent-up demand for travel is there. It's not so much, you know, if people will travel again, it's when and how they will travel again. And I'm hearing from so many of my colleagues that feel like they just need to like take their current strategic plan and kind of chuck it out the window. But, you know, when I think about the word you use, nimble, you know, it's our strategic plans that permit us to be nimble, that allow us to be flexible, that really give us that freedom to adapt, because there are foundational elements of our strategic plan that are unwavering. Our vision, our mission, the imperatives that we're looking to accomplish, those are unwavering. Those are foundational to the work that we do. But what is changing are the initiatives, the actions that are taking place in service to that vision and that mission. I think you're going to see certain things accelerate and need to be better embedded and reflected within our strategic plans, things that are going to be accentuated within those plans. For example, this shift to protecting while promoting our destinations is going to accelerate. We've got an opportunity here. It's almost a reboot of the travel and tourism industry where we can rethink sustainable travel, responsible travel. We can rethink how we're engaging with the residents of our communities in terms of how we make them advocates for the travel and tourism industry, how they're allies and partners with us in the travel and tourism industry, doing resident sentiment surveys and bringing them into that visitor experience overall. You know, as Skift noted in one of their recent articles, tourism should be a boon, not a drain on communities. The other aspect that must be part of every strategic plan for every destination management and marketing organization is what we're doing in and around diversity, equity, and inclusion. I will tell you from where I sit, the travel industry needs to be a leader in this space. As Mark Twain said, travel is fatal to prejudice. We need to lean into that aspect. We need to capitalize on that aspect in the sense of using it as a way to unify the travel and tourism industry to ensure a better life for all. We need to be looking at our hiring practices and our recruitment practices. We need to be looking at how we're recruiting board members as well as staff. We need to be looking at our policies, and we need to be looking at how we're serving the workforce that makes up the travel and tourism industry and probably comprises one of the most diverse workforces of any industry found in America, if not around the world as well. So we've got an opportunity to revisit and rebuild upon the strategic planning work that we as destination marketing organizations have done to be sure that we're leaning into these new trends that we're facing today.
Those are all really important points, Todd. And at Virginia Tourism, we often ask our partners the question, what should you be building? What should you be promoting? And we know this is ever changing. So we have to be long learners and stay open in the industry that we work in. And as destination marketers, rethinking, reimagining, reassuring, being resilient, and following the research are all paramount. And that brings us to, the new value proposition. Travel is resilient, and the leisure market will recover first. Then business, sporting events, group travel, international, and large spectator sports will likely be the last to recover. But the power of an industry that generates instant revenue to local economies, and it's all about the local economy and how travel and tourism funds help governments do what they're supposed to do for their citizens. And this is a global consideration. And whether you're going on a local tour in a remote corner of the world or experiencing a culture that's wrapped in mystique and traditions, travel is personal. But everyone wants the same thing. We want to go to a safe place to visit and stay a place that has healthy practices. And of course, what's so important to everyone who travels is amazing local food. So that will never go away. But this cleanliness requirement, it's on the bucket list. It has to be there. It's a requirement. And that has changed travel forever. And most important, and more important, or as important as cost is the lodging clean? Am I safe from any dangerous health risk? Promoting lodging that has healthy practices to ensure that the products used give you that security is essential. A seal of clean, will continue to draw attention, and rating systems are being scored as we speak. And scoring is going to be an attribute in the travel consideration. So the world really awaits our robust return. So hit the road and get ready for your close-up encounter with travel, because it will change you forever.
Well said, Rita. As I sat here and I was listening to you go through the reimagining and reassessing and researching and all right on, and it kind of brought me to where I landed on my third theme for the day, and this is the idea of rewiring the travel industry. How COVID-19 is really causing us to revisit all the different components that make up the travel and tourism ecosystem globally. I will not be surprised to see COVID tests or proof of a vaccine become a requirement of entry into some destinations. We're already seeing states here in the US that are requiring quarantine. If you're traveling from one particular hotspot here in America to a particular state, they're requiring a 14-day quarantine period. I think there's going to be proof of COVID test or an antibody test, or proof that once a vaccine is available that you've had it, as a requirement of entry into some countries or potentially some states. I think the advancement of temperature scans at airports and attractions will just become part of the travel experience. It's almost a TSA PreCheck Plus, where now suddenly temperatures are also part of the other elements of the background check, or you're having taken a COVID test or had the vaccine. I think the other place you're going to see the travel industry rewired is the accelerated advancement of technology. Touchless technology was a novelty. It was cute. It was kind of cool that you could walk up and use your smartphone to unlock your door. It is no longer cute or cool or a novelty. It's a necessity. We want those kinds of low touch, if not no touch, experiences. We're going to be looking for more digital content. Perhaps rather than being in a group of people on a tour, can we use our smartphone and have access through wireless technology or some other source to get the same kind of docent-led experience of an art gallery or a museum or a historic district or the like? These things are only going to accelerate. However, what doesn't change, and I think, Rita, it's been a central point that you have emphasized here today, is that none of this changes the deep innate desire of, number one, people to travel, and to have a human connection when they do that. We hear that from folks all the time, that travel gives them that opportunity to reconnect with family, to reconnect with their friends, to perhaps reconnect with a complete stranger in a cafe in Vienna, or sometimes just to have a chance to reconnect with themselves. And that we as destination professionals need to keep this at the heart of our work as we move forward.
I agree with you. You know, technology went from experiential to now necessary. It was adding value before, but now it's absolutely a component of many considerations. And who knew that face masks would be such a, not only helpful to us to prevent the spread, but a fashion statement.
Yeah.
So it's all good.